Hello everybody, we're going to start our new series here, and this is our Airline AM/FM radio that I told you about, and this happens to be a model 74BR-1812A, and you'll see that there's, very hard to see because it's dirty, but there's an AM band and an FM band, and there's also a phono selection right here. So you got FM, broadcast, and phono, and the tuning dial seems to work, so that's good news. And it looks like we have a volume and a tone. This is the tone right here, and this is the volume. And I assume one of these is the power switch. So the tone is the power switch on this one, unless they have the knobs reversed, which is possible. That's typically the volume that's going to be the switch. And you'll see it's in poor shape. This grill cloth is hanging down, but the speaker behind it looks relatively well. And one thing I noticed on this thing is this wood, this veneer they have on here, really nice, like a book matched maple kind of veneer. So I bet you this is going to clean up really good. And there's specks of white paint on here. So someone was painting their room with this thing in there. Cosmetically, the cabinet is in relatively good shape. There's a couple of little gouges here, and the top is a little rough right here, but you know, it's nothing that can't be fixed. It's a relatively heavy radio, and I'll turn it around and show you the back. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the cabinet, and we're going to look at it first, and we may throw it on the dim bulb tester and see if we have any life in this thing. But you can see underneath, relatively simple. There is a loop antenna here mounted to the side, so it does have an antenna, and transformer's pretty beefy. And you know, obviously we've got AM/FM in this thing, so it's a little bit different. There's a lot of smaller tubes in here, 9-pin tubes. And again, this is 1947, so the tubes aren't going to be humongous. What I don't see is the tuning capacitor, so I'm wondering if that's underneath the radio, which I really haven't seen yet. So I believe it probably is buried underneath the radio somewhere, but I don't know. We'll have to find that out when we take it out of the chassis. So this is our next project. There's a wire hanging here in the breeze. It's probably an antenna wire, I would imagine, right here. That's cool. And let's see if we can get you in there and take a look at the speaker. The speaker seems to be intact, and everything else looks good. It just looks like it's dirty and needs a little TLC. So first thing we'll do, obviously, when you work on any radio, you don't plug it in first. You check it. You give it a visual. You ohm out your coils. Right, you ohm out your transformer, you make sure that everything is workable before you start digging into it. So I'm going to rip this out of the chassis, and rip it out of the cabinet, and we'll take a flip on the other side and see what's going on there. Okay? I'll be right back. One thing I'll show you before I continue is one thing that's good about 1947 is they figured out how to make detachable speakers and detachable antennas. So you don't have to worry about, you know, cutting wires and soldering wires. So the antenna also has a little connector that goes right up here in the front, and the speaker goes right down here. So once you remove those, you can essentially remove the chassis and you'll be in good shape and not have to worry. So we're going to rip it out now, so be back. Just for my own reference, this brown wire goes in the center, and this looks like it's yellowish or white, goes on top. It's currently marked here A. Looks like A, B, and C, and that may be a ground. Anyway, just marking where things go. So this goes over to this antenna block in here, and this one actually goes up and runs around the cabinet. Okay? Back. As I'm taking the screws off the bottom, I noticed something here that may be cool or not. It says, examined by W. Crossley. So I don't know if there was one of the kids there working, or if that was just a stamp that they put on there to make it seem like, you know, the owner is expecting these things, but that's pretty cool. So it looks like it was QA'd by someone in the family. Be back. Okay, we have the chassis out of the cabinet. One thing I see here is this cool little track. See this track here? This is where the tuning dial rides across, and they've got the track going all the way around the radio here, which is interesting. Not sure why. It looks like it's on a metal band. That's what I see here, moving as a metal band. I can't wait to take a look underneath and see this mechanism. This is pretty cool. There's a metal band that is attached right here to this tuning dial, and as you turn that, the band is retracting somewhere. Very interesting. Looks like there's a little gear here probably. I don't know if we could see that. There is a gear right there. So there's a little gear, and there's a metal band that has teeth on it, and as you turn that, it turns the metal band. That is so cool. It's pretty ingenious. So there's no dial string on this thing. No wonder it still works. Let's flip it over. And as I suspected, the tuning cap is underneath. Really not a lot happening in this radio, and quite honestly, it looks original. I don't think anyone's been in here, which is really always a good thing when you're working on a radio. I'm going to turn that flashlight off because you can't see with it. So what do we have here? Got a 25 microfarad cap, electrolytic. Here we have another one. I can't see what the value is. Couple of wax caps in here. Nothing spectacular. And quite frankly, let's do a closer inspection just to be sure. I don't see anything here that would prevent me from trying to do a power up. The power cord looks to be a little dry rotted but intact. I don't see anything there that's alarming. This is our power switch and our volume. Very, very cool. I think we're going to go brave here, and we're going to give it a shot. Okay? So I'm going to set that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, we have our setup here, classically, right? So we have a dim bulb tester connected to the Variac. We've got our radio plugged in, and we are going to start with turning the Variac on. Let's see what we get. I did replace the bulb here for the dial light just in case it's out. So let's go up slowly. 40 volts. I don't see anything on the bulb. I don't see any filaments. 65. Still don't see anything, don't hear anything. Let's go a little higher. Let's go to 80. Nothing. Let's go to 100. I'm seeing some filament glow. That's good news. But there's absolutely no draw on this thing. Yeah, I definitely see a filament right here. I see one right here. Just go a little bit higher, 110. And the bulb is starting to light up a little bit. I definitely see a strong filament here. Here. I don't see anything down here. Alright, so not a success. Let's turn this off. So it doesn't work, but that's okay. It's not shorted or anything. That's good. I think the first plan of action here is to take this this electrolytic can and bypass it. There's a 10, a 10, and a 20 in here, and that'll be the first thing that we do. See if we can get this thing working. And this dial light didn't work. It could be because I didn't have it installed in here. Maybe it needs to be grounded. I have a different size bulb in there. Let's see if we can finagle this in there. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to see if I can find another bulb. I'll be back. Okay, I've replaced the bulb now with one that fits, and you'll see when I turn the power on I do get a dial light. Not getting any sound though, so we're going to have to check the output transformer and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, so there's promise, right? So we know we've got our filament voltage there, which is good. Don't hear anything, not even a hum coming out of this thing. Alright, more work to do. We'll be back. Okay, so I've done a little testing on this thing, and I am having a problem with the rectifier tube. The tube on this thing got extremely hot, so I'm going to have to go under there and clean up all those caps and just do another visual. First thing I'm going to do is take this thing outside and blow it off because there's a lot of dust in there. So let me go do that and we'll come back. Okay, we just got rid of 71 years of dust and dirt. So now what I'm going to do is go underneath and start replacing caps, and then I'm going to have to clean the top of this chassis. Looks like it's pretty simple. I don't see a lot of rust. Let's see how easy it is. Just using a standard cleaner for the moment. A lot of grime and gook on there. It's not brightening it up pretty well though. One trick I like to use on these things is a little bit of navel jelly. Let it sit there for a minute. And typically it's going to get off most of the dirt. I don't leave it on long. We'll see what that does. Okay. Look at that. Big difference, huh? So that's going to be the plan on top, is just do this little navel jelly trick and clean up some of that grime, make it look better. But we'll save that for later. We got to get it working electronically first. Okay? I also took off the dial glass, and you can see that's filthy. So we'll give that a nice clean as well. That'll be nice when it's done. Alright, so I'm going to go do some electronic work underneath, and I'll come back when I have an update. Thanks. Okay, I've changed out the 3 filter caps. There was this can right here. Contains a 20, a 10, and a 10. So I've mounted caps underneath, and I'll show you that later. And we're going to do an initial power on. We're going to see what happens. We've got the Variac connected, and
May I say to you, the
comes right up.
God needs to
I did test it before the video.
Of a great many sad believers.
So one thing I noticed about this radio that's interesting is the tone knob is the volume, is the on-off switch, not the volume. A little weird.
And to have that love
But this looks like the AM band.
One more time, it's 800-36.
That's the radio station I have running in the house at 800. It's picking up an FM station. I haven't gone to the FM band yet. Okay, let's go to the FM band. It should be there. Looks like nothing on FM. Just move this antenna around a little bit. That's our FM band isn't working, which is exactly what I needed the help in, right? To learn. So now we've got some challenges. That's good. Let's go back to AM for a minute.
Freak yeah.
on airport parking at Jacksonville International Airport will help pump the stress from your travel itinerary. Your garage facility. Florida Army National Guard. Here by the Florida Association.
Okay, so here's the plan. So AM's working fine. I did notice, obviously I have a bunch of wax caps under there I have to change. And I did notice a couple of resistors that don't look very good. So I think the rest of the restore is going to be getting rid of those old wax caps, replacing the capacitors and resistors, and then really doing an assessment. So really my intention here was just to make sure the radio is functional from a coil perspective, right, and from a transformer perspective. So it is, which is good. So we've eliminated this cap, and now we're going to go and clean up everything else underneath. Let me show you the bottom where we are currently, and then we'll wrap up the video. Be right back. All right, here's the bottom of the radio. So right here was a 25 microfarad cap that I've replaced right here, and then these are the 3 caps that replaced the can that's there. And I basically just put a terminal strip here. This is the ground section. Everything else is just kind of staying in the same general area. I do need to lead dress a couple of these wires. The resistors that I told you I see under here that don't look so good. Let's see if I can zoom in on one here. Where is it? Probably right under here. You can't see under there. Anyway, I'm not going to waste your time looking at resistors. So we're going to replace all these wax caps, and then we'll come back. So that's going to be it for episode 1. I try to keep these things short. At least we've gotten the radio now to a usable condition, and that's always a good thing. So now we're going to continue forging ahead and then figure out what the real problems are, right? So I'm not going to start digging around until I have all the components in a good place. That means testing everything and replacing. All right? All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks. One more thing. I'm really impressed with this tuning mechanism. So there's a track here that runs all the way down the side of the radio, right here. Okay? And there's a metal band in there that's gear driven. And this gear right here is what drives it. And that's how you tune this thing. And the tuning cap is right under there. Really, really cool. I'm sure this was expensive to produce compared to the old dial string, but this is rock solid. Just needs to be cleaned. So never saw that before, so I thought I'd share it with you. All right, folks, take care.